I am psychologist Izzet Güllü. Today, we will address a very important topic. How do we produce psychology, and how does this production affect our lives? We all have a psychology, but how is this psychology shaped? Emotions, thoughts, social programming, and sectorial influences. How do all of these affect our minds? Now, we will take a closer look at these questions. As you watch this video, inspired by the first chapter of my book, It Could Be, we will explore how our psychology is shaped. As I mentioned in my book, psychology is not just an instant influence from the past. It is an ongoing process that continuously shapes our lives. If you want to understand your psychology and inner world better, keep watching the video and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We will share much more valuable information to help you improve your mental health here. Psychology is something that can be produced. We all have a psychology. But who and how produces this psychology? What factors come into play? Today, we will search for answers to these questions. First of all, in the West, the mind is more dominant, while in the East, emotions take precedence. This difference leads to the development of science and philosophy in the West, while in the East, poetry and literature emerge as more prominent. In the West, everything is questioned, whereas in the East, there is more trust in leaders and obedience. The West creates systems, while the East relies on guidance from leaders. We, as a country, are located in the East. Like many communities in this geography, we have an emotion-oriented structure. This causes many of our behaviors to arise not from principles or rules, but from emotions. Emotions shape our behavior, and these behaviors feed emotions. Because emotions are nourished by results, and everything that is nourished becomes stronger. For example, when you say, "I am bored," this is not just a sentence. Your brain magnifies this boredom. And when something is magnified in your mind, it also grows in your soul. This is an example of how emotions and thoughts feed one another. In a society where emotions are strengthened, we sometimes feel that when we say, "I want it," the desire becomes more intense. And as this pressure builds on the emotion, it becomes harder to resist it, because we regard emotions as the source of motivation. This means that the impact and weight of emotions take up more space in our lives than normal. We, therefore, easily get affected by them. Inclination refers to this very thing. When a person is inclined towards something, they tend to move toward it. In this emotion-oriented society, we sometimes deal with emotions in a pathological way. For example, phrases like, "Don't be sad," "Don't cry," "Don't get upset," "Don't be afraid," create erroneous programming in our brains, shaping thoughts like sadness is bad, crying is abnormal. At this point, it's important to see how societal programming leads to psychological effects. Over time, our sensitivity to emotions increases, which reduces our psychological tolerance and leads to increased fragility. Psychological issues exist in every society, but the dynamics of each society differ. A traffic accident can happen anywhere, but in some countries, it's caused by alcohol, in others by speeding, and in others by carelessness. Just like this, the psychology of societies is based on different dynamics. Apart from that, a psychological state can also be produced by a sector. Environmental factors amplify our emotional tendencies, while sectors help shape this psychological state. This can be summarized as follows. Environmental factors prepare the ground, and the sector delivers the final word. Emotions are sometimes labeled as disorders. Too little emotion, too much illness, they say, and an emotion is labeled as an illness. Then, emotions and thoughts become labeled as mental disorders. This happens thanks to the programming from sectors. Psychology is not only produced through illnesses, but also through concepts. For example, when you insult someone, the words you use create a psychology in that person. Insults and curses trigger anger, while compliments produce happiness. Concepts shape our perceptions, and these perceptions create our psychology. The words you use, the thoughts you have, and how you interpret those thoughts determine your psychological state. Yes, the power of concepts is immense. Fear is an emotion, while panic disorder is an illness. By changing the meaning of something, you change its psychological impact as well. Psychology is not only used in psychiatry and psychology fields, it is utilized in nearly every sector. For example, in advertisements, enthusiastic voice tones are used to make the brain perceive them positively. At car fairs, beauty and admiration are used to make the product seem more attractive. This strengthens the psychological impact. Sectors constantly shape emotions and thoughts. Often, what harms us are simply wrongly programmed thoughts. Breaking these programs is an essential step in transforming psychology. Psychology is shaped not only by the emotions we experience, but also by how we label those emotions. When an emotion is labeled with the right concept, it creates a completely different perception in our brain. And this perception shapes our entire life. In this video, we have explored how psychology is produced and how this production affects our lives. I hope this content has been helpful in understanding your mental health better. If you would like to learn more about this topic, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. See you in our next videos, and I wish you a healthy and peaceful day.